Daniel 11:36 brings to view a new king, or by extension, a new kingdom. A question should be asked: who is this new king? For in Daniel 11:40, this king pushes against the king of the north, and sometime thereafter, the king of the north pushes against him with whirlwind, chariots and horses, and many ships. In Daniel chapter 8, verses 9 to 11, it brings to view the rise of the papal power, who, by extension, is the king of the north. And it reads, "And out of one of them came forth the little horn, which waxed exceedingly great, towards the south, towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he, the papacy, magnified himself even to the prince of the hosts, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away." Though we are aware who the king of the north is, which is the papacy, the king of the south, or this new king, is unknown, but the characteristics of this kingdom is revealed in Daniel 11, verses 36 to 40. And the characteristics that exemplifies this kingdom are as follows. 1. He shall magnify himself above every god. 2. This king or kingdom shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods. 3. He shall neither regard the gods of his father. 4. Nor will he regard the desire of woman, or a better translation speaks about the marriage institution or wives. 5. Nor will he regard any god. So this shows that this king or kingdom will sometime in his future become an atheistic kingdom. 6. He shall honor the God of forces. Thus implies that this kingdom, after its atheistic stage, will implement some form of worship. 7. It shall divide the land for gain. And 8, which is most notable, it comes against the king of the north at the time of the end. We should ask ourselves, what is the time of the end? And when did that time begin? In Daniel 12, verses 4, 9, and 11 gives us the answer to our question. And it reads, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the word, and seal the book, even to the time of the end." And he said, "Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed and sealed till the time of the end. And herein is the time of the end given." And it reads, verse 11, "And from the time that the daily sacrifice, which is pagan Rome, shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, which is the papacy, there shall be 1,290 days." So here we have discovered that the angel would have given to Daniel the duration of time that it would take to reach to the time of the end. But from what start date was Daniel to reckon this 1,290 days, or prophetic years? Luckily for us, we would have already deciphered the start date when the papacy would have received power over the Roman Empire. And it is as follows. We saw in Daniel 11:31 the ascension of the papal power over the Roman ancient empire, and the event that signified this was the support of the French army, who was being ruled by King Clovis of the Franks, and this was doubly supported by his baptism on December 25th, 508 AD. So we can conclude that the date from which we should reckon the time of the end must begin at 508 AD. By utilizing these dates and inputting the 1290 days or prophetic years given to Daniel by the angel, the time frame that we are brought to is in 1798. Thus, this new power or new king or kingdom should push against the king of the north or the papacy in the year 1798. Not only was this king or kingdom to push against the papacy in 1798, but this king or kingdom was to fulfill all of the characteristics that exist as listed in Daniel 11. And historically, only one nation fits the bill. And this nation is none other than France. France fits the bill of all the characteristics that are listed in the Bible. This we can find during the history of the French Revolution, and coming out of the French Revolution at the time of the end, 1798, France, having fallen out with the papacy, would have taken the Pope captive in 1798, where at that time the Pope died in captivity. But again, the Bible predicts of future events, and it speaks to the king of the north coming against the king of the south sometime in the future, and he comes against him with whirlwinds, chariots and horses, and many ships. So, should we be looking for some future conflict between Rome and France? I beg to differ, for the Bible says the following: "Howbeit, that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual." So the Bible purports that we can deduce from history and look at events that took place and apply the spiritual aspect to future events. Because of this, we can now conclude that when the king of the north pushes against the king of the south, no longer would it be the papacy pushing against France, but it is more of a spiritual aspect. Thus we can look and see that a nation that exemplifies the mindset of the papacy will push against a system that inculcates the mindset of France. But does the Bible support America being the spiritual king of the north, executing the plans of the papacy? Let's see what the Bible has to say. Speaking of this lamb-like nation, which is America, the Bible says the following: "And I behold another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." This beast, or based on Daniel 7:7 and Daniel 7:23, represents a kingdom, and this lamb-like kingdom is America. But at some point in the future, this kingdom will speak as a dragon, or it will speak as a persecuting power against the faithful Christians. Again, the Bible says the following of this nation, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, which is the papacy, and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So in the future, we can look for the spiritual king of the north, which is America, pushing against the spiritual king of the south, which is a universal mindset that permeates the philosophy that existed in the French Revolution, which is atheistic and secular in nature. And the Bible predicts even the manner in which America would fight against this secular mindset. The Bible says that this king of the north shall come against him like 1, a whirlwind, 2, chariots and horses, and 3, many ships.
2 weeks ago, I signed an executive order banning men from playing in women's sports. Many Democrats are fighting me on that. I hope you continue, because you'll never win another race. The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it, because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state. Good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one.
Again, the Bible predicts that this king of the north shall combat the king of the south like a whirlwind, with chariots and horsemen, and with many ships. Luckily for us, the Bible explains what these mean. First, let us look at the definition of whirlwind. The book of Proverbs reads, "When your fear cometh as a desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you." The book of Jeremiah reads, "Behold, a whirlwind of the Lord is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked." From the previous verses, we can deduce that whirlwind represents destruction, anguish, distress, fear, or desolation. Now let's look at the meaning of chariots and horsemen. In the book of 2 Chronicles, it reads, "But of the children of Israel did Solomon make no servants for his work, but they were men of war, and chief of his captains, and captains of his chariots and horsemen." In the book of Exodus, it reads, "But the Egyptians pursued after them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, and his army, and they overtook them encamping by the sea." So here, chariots and horsemen can denote armies or some sort of military power. And now let's look at the definition of ships. In the book of Psalms, it reads, "They that go down to the sea in ships, that do business in great water." And the book of Ezekiel reads, "The ancients of Gebal, and the wise men thereof were thee, thy caulkers, all the ships of the sea with their mariners were indeed to occupy thy merchandise. Henceforth we can conclude that ships symbolize commerce, buying or selling, or economic power. So the prophecy is telling us, when America pushes against this secular mindset, it pushes against it with fury. It uses military power and also economic power. So as America pushes with whirlwind, using chariots and horsemen and ships, these will be the means by which America will set up a universal system of worship, wherein an image will be made and homage will be given to the first beast, which is the papacy, and all will be required to worship, either receiving a mark in their hand or in their forehead, and a refusal to worship will result in death. But is this just far-fetched, or could there be some truth to all of this?
We're bringing back religion in our country, and we're bringing it back quickly and strongly. Because for America to be a great nation, we must always be one nation under God, a phrase that they would like to get rid of, the radical left. Things are moving along very well, and I just wanted to say the final details are coming together, and they're coming together rapidly, and I think we're right on schedule, Mike and everyone. And I want to thank you and this group and all of the people that are over there right now, not in the sun. They're working on the bill. It will be the biggest bill ever passed in the history of our Congress, our Senate and Congress. And you know, they work right out of the White House. They've never done that. That's never been done before. No other president allowed that. I think, you know, they say separation. They say separation between church and state, they told me. I said, all right, let's forget about that for one time. We said, really, the separation? I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. But whether there's separation or not, you guys are in the White House where you should be, and you're representing our country, and we're bringing religion back to our country.
So just as the Bible predicted, the separation of church and state that took place in 1798, when the papacy received its deadly wound, in like manner, the Bible predicts that sometime in the future, this deadly wound will once again be healed, and we will see an emergence of this church and state power. And once these two entities join hands, the inevitable result is persecution.